What's up and welcome back. So we are back with these type of sit down podcasty like videos, and I wanted to start with something that I didn't realize was such a big issue when it comes to finances until I started talking about finances online, mainly through Instagram. I would get an abundance of emails and DMs from women who were financially dependent on a man that they did not want to be financially dependent on. And so they were trying to get their finances together so that they could leave their situation. And I feel like it is important to preface this conversation by saying I have seen firsthand, not even just from these abundance of messages from different women, through all different walks of life, but also through my experiences growing up and experiences with acquaintances and friends. If it's one thing that I have learned is that it is incredibly important to establish yourself financially separate from a partner. It is a dangerous game creating a life around one human being, especially when it comes to your finances. And that is because you can get trapped in a situation. And when I say trapped, I mean trapped in a situation where you want to leave a relationship or a situation that is no longer serving you. It is no longer making you happy. It's affecting your health in a negative way, but you can't, solely because you cannot afford to separate yourself from this person. So the things that you don't want to accept, you're kind of in a way forced to accept them. And I can imagine that you feel trapped in a reality where you feel like you don't have any control over everything. And although I haven't experienced this firsthand, I have not experienced being financially dependent on anyone. I have experienced the intense emotion of what it feels like to be in a situation that you feel like you're bound to. So my situation was more so like a trauma bond, but I feel like it's still relevant to what I'm going to be talking about, because at the end of the day, you still feel trapped in a situation that you have absolutely no idea how to get out of. And so I am going to be giving 3 tips that I would take if I was a woman financially dependent on someone in a relationship, and I'm really wanting to establish myself in my independence and leave something that is not serving me anymore. Tip number 1 is to determine your I'm out number. So what is it that you need to be bringing in consistently to be self-sufficient? And to do this, or to determine this number, obviously you're going to need to list out all of your expenses as well as the amount of each expense. And when you're doing this, you also need to take into consideration who and what will be leaving or staying with you. And that includes kids and pets, because you're going to need to include their regular expenses as well. And when you are making your lists, what also are you going to be losing? Is it going to be healthcare? Is it going to be the car? For example, if you have a car now, but the car is shared, or the car payment is being paid by someone else, so you anticipate losing that vehicle, you're going to need to include transportation costs in your list of expenses. That could be like Uber or a taxi, or if you're going to be keeping the car, what is the car payment, insurance, things like that. That way you have an accurate overview of all the expenses that you're going to be responsible for if you do want to gain your independence. And then compare that total to your income. And if you're like, girl, I don't have any income coming in right now, that's totally fine. This way, you know what you need to shoot for when it comes to your salary and or your savings account. Some people may want a higher paying position. That way they know they can cover all of these expenses, or they want a certain amount saved back, maybe like 3 to 6 months, or maybe you just want to get a month ahead. That way you feel less pressure as you're trying to get established and get everything, in order as you're trying to get used to this new way of living. And when you have a goal in mind, you have a set target amount, you're going to be surprised by how many opportunities you find to get yourself to that amount. And it's not like, oh, all of these opportunities are coming to me, I'm attracting all of these opportunities. I really don't believe it's that, but I do believe that now you're consciously aware of the opportunities around you because you have this set goal. You have this main focus. The things that are around you that are at your fingertips, you're going to be looking at them as opportunities to help you get to that vision that you have in your mind. And a lot of times when we set goals, what's so important is that our brains don't really realize what we have and what we don't have. So it's kind of like it's hard for it to really determine what is reality and not reality. Kind of like with kids who literally think they're animals or superheroes that can jump off of, a roof, and we're like, what's going through your head? They really can't differentiate, what is reality and what is not reality. And our brains are kind of the same way. And so when we don't have this certain thing in our reality just yet, our brain is like going to work trying to figure out ways in which we can bring that reality to life. And so don't look at this number and tell yourself, oh, this is impossible, because I'm not going to argue with you. You are absolutely correct. If you say it's impossible, then it is impossible, because you'll see everything in your life as proof or as reason to back up your beliefs. So if you believe that it's not possible for you and you can't do it, literally everything that happens in your life, you're going to use that as validation, right? So you're going to use those things to justify why you believe that you can't do X, Y, Z. And as odd as it sounds, we are often addicted to our own trauma. We are addicted to our own trauma because we know what this situation feels like. We know how painful this situation is. We know how it is to be in this specific situation. And so that is oddly, it's more comforting to us than the unknown. The unknown is scary. We don't know what the other side holds. And even though this other side has the potential to really improve our lives drastically, a lot of times we'll drag our feet and we'll create our own reality by not really establishing the habits that we need to create a new reality, because in the back of our minds, we would rather just stay in our comfort zone. So your brain is like a wild animal. I say this all the time. Girl, you got to train that thing. You've got to train your mind to work for you. You've got to train your mind to help you create the reality that you want, because your brain is programmed for survival and it is going to do what it needs to do to keep you safe. And a lot of times it thinks keeping you safe is keeping you stuck. It feels keeping you safe is keeping you small, and it wants you to go through your same patterns in life. And when you try to change, it's going to try to convince you to go back to your old habits or your old way of thinking, because it's like stranger danger. We're in uncharted territory right now. So you've really got to be intentional about changing up your habits. Take little steps day by day. Open up a separate savings account or a separate checking account and start depositing little bitty amounts, like $1 or $2 here, $5 there. And that way it's going to give you that fuel. You'll start smelling yourself, and it's going to be exciting for you to continue on. And then as you keep taking actionable steps towards that vision, it's going to become less and less scary. Tip number 2 is to research all resources available to you and take advantage of them. I am talking about food stamps. I am talking about daycare vouchers, free or reduced lunch for your children. I'm talking about housing. I am talking about free or reduced utilities like Wi-Fi. And to some, this may be an absolute no-brainer, and that's great. But to others, they honestly don't know what resources are available to them. And so just like you make a list of your expenses, you want to make a list of the resources that are available to you based on your location and your circumstances, and of course, your income. And I will say making your list is going to be like the easy part of this, right? Because we have such a vast amount of information available to us in a snap via the internet. So it takes just a quick Google search of XYZ resources available to single women or single moms in XYZ state, and it will give you search results, and you just go from there, go down your rabbit hole to find out what it is that you have access to right now. But the hard part is accepting the help, because pride and ego starts to creep in, and it tells you that you're not deserving, or you shouldn't take advantage of these resources, or someone else, you shouldn't go about it because someone else is always going to be in a worse position than you, and you feel like you don't want to take certain spots from those people. But I will say, if you qualify for it, then maybe you are deserving of those benefits, and take advantage of them. And let's talk about the welfare queen discussion really quickly, because I have time today. We still see the effects to this day as women, especially single Black women. We are ridiculed and vilified by people who cannot dismantle the subconscious belief that we sit around collecting assistance. We are lazy, we're undeserving, we just sit around collecting checks, we're rubbing our toes together and eating Twinkies in the bed. And if people, through my observation, mainly men, if they've had a negative experience with someone who was getting assistance, they almost always ridicule others who are getting the same type of assistance under the ignorant belief that everyone is going to be the same. Everyone is doing the same exact thing. And now I know that this topic, it is a very layered topic, and it takes a while to unravel. So I'm not going to get too deep into it, but it's been generations of intentional racism and prejudice that continue to light a fire under the discussion of poverty and welfare. And I say all this because some people are intentionally keeping themselves in a situation that is harder than what it should be, because they don't want to be classified as a welfare queen. And when I say people, I mean I've done this as well. I was embarrassed to be on food stamps. I was embarrassed to get daycare vouchers. Yes, the help was nice, but I was really looking forward to the day where I would not have these benefits anymore. And so I didn't want anyone to think that I was lazy. I didn't want anyone to think that I was ripping off the system or milking the system. And so when my benefits were dropped, it was this odd sense of relief. Like, I felt like I had made it, that I couldn't be generalized anymore. But the thing is, this is all temporary. It is to help you to get back on your feet. And once again, if you qualify, you are deserving. That is what these benefits are here for. So take advantage of them and utilize them. Tip number 3 is to tap into your support system. And I know we live in a day and age where we're independent. We can do everything ourselves. We have hyper independence, and we're like, it's painful to ask for help. Like, our pride just will not allow us to ask for help. And that may come from negative experiences where we felt like our needs weren't met and we were asking for help and the help wasn't received, or they were dangling what they did for us above our head. But sometimes you have to just open up that line of communication, girl, and let your people know that, hey, I need help. And a lot of times we know this, closed mouths do not get fed. Some people may realize that, you need help, you need assistance, you're ready to get out, you're unhappy, but they don't want to overstep. So they'll wait for you to come to them and let them know, like, hey, I need help, or this is my plan. And you may be pleasantly surprised to know that there are people in line who are waiting to assist you. And I know some people don't have a support system, or their support system is not local. There are organizations set up that are specifically to help you. They help you to find a job. So they assist you when it comes to the job market. They help you with housing. They help you with transportation. If you ask and seek, you shall find. And I was that person where I was super, super prideful. I went the route of stealing before I broke down and asked for help, because when I broke down and asked for help, I didn't receive the help. I got a bunch of I don't have it. And so I went through a period of my life where I was like, I can do this, or I would rather struggle and go without instead of opening my mouth and asking for help. And sometimes your support is not going to come from a village that you know. I specifically remember in college, I don't remember how I found them. I think it was just through a simple Google search, but there was a local organization that was specifically for single moms, and they may still be around, but they helped to get us connected to mentors based on our majors. You had to be in college. They helped us with furniture. For some of us, some of the girls in the room had no furniture. They were just living in a bare room. And so they helped us out with furniture, with career advice, getting exposed to different majors and career opportunities. They helped us with transportation. So they actually reimbursed us for gas during the time that we were in connection with the organization. They reimbursed us for gas and for groceries as well. And so it was truly a blessing. And that came during a time where I literally had nothing. So I do encourage you to open yourself up to receiving help, even if it is from people who you felt like let you down before, because it's going to come down to how bad do you want it, right? That's anything in life. It is going to come down to how bad do you really want this. And I want you to go through this whole process with a solutions-based lens when it comes to life, and let your brain go to work to try to come up with solutions as you continue to ask these questions, because life is going to life during this process. And it's going to seem like as soon as you have that goal to leave, to increase your income, to get the heck up out of there, life is going to feel like it's going to crush you, or it is crushing you. It's going to feel like that. And it's not necessarily that anything is coming out the woodworks. It's just that now you have, once again, this specific focus. You're focusing on trying to achieve something. So things that are happening that would naturally occur anyway, like pop-up expenses, they hurt a lot more because, hey, I got a goal. I'm trying to get to a certain destination, and I'm noticing the red lights a lot more. Are there any local support groups? Or maybe there will be people who watch this video and prayerfully leave comments below on things that have helped them, different resources based on your state. Leave them down below. That is something that has absolutely 1000% helped me get past, any traumatic event or anything that has knocked me off my rocker. That has helped me get back on the horse and continue to go forward. What is the solution here? What can I do? There's always something you can do. There's always a solution. It may not feel good. It may not be quick. It may not be the solution that you thought it was going to be, but there is always a solution if you are looking for this solution. So I really do hope that these tips were helpful. Once again, if you have any tips or advice, or if you have been in this situation, definitely leave it all down below. If there are any resources available, let them know your state and the resources that they are available and any websites that they can click on. And I will catch you guys in the next video.